Hey, what's up, fellas? How you doing? Matt Antonelli here, answering your questions today. Today's question is about riding the pine in the major league, riding the bench, not playing. Unfortunately, I have a decent amount of experience doing this. When I was called up, I probably started in only half of the games, probably, that I was up, and so I did a lot of sitting on the bench. And so we're going to kind of talk about, when do you find out that you're not playing? What do you do on the bench? How do you get ready to go into the game? Do you go into the game? So we'll talk about all that stuff. First off, you find out typically when you get to the stadium. However, there are some managers that will tell you the night before. So, maybe if you're a guy that's like a utility guy or typically on the bench, a lot of times they may tell you the night before, hey, you're going to play second base tomorrow. Hey, you're going to play left field tomorrow, whatever. For me, when I was called up, it was usually when I showed up to the stadium. So that's the other way you find out. You get to the stadium, kind of once you walk in, the first thing is typically you'll go and check the lineup card. Lineup card is usually posted somewhere in the clubhouse, and you'll find out right away if you're in the game or if you're not in the game. And so let's just say, for instance, I'm not in the game that day. If I look, I see my name kind of in the reserve section. I know that I'm not playing. At least I'm not starting. There's a chance that I'll go into the game, especially if you're a National League team. So in the National League, you've got the pitcher hitting, so there's going to be a lot more late inning switches, a lot more switches. You're going to have pinch hitters, hitting for the pitcher. You're going to have double switches, which means you're going to have to be ready to play defense a lot late in the game. And so you've always got to be ready no matter what league you're in. But in the NL, you've got to really be ready. Because there's a chance that you're going to go in at least to play defense. You may not hit, but you're probably going to have to go in and play defense. And so, there were games where I'd go in and either get a pinch hit late, or I hit for the pitcher, or I'd go in and play defense. So, how do you find out, and kind of what do you do? Here's the thing: as the game kind of gets going, typically the first 5-6 innings or so, you're probably not going to go in unless one, someone gets injured, or two, the pitcher's getting absolutely crushed and there's going to be some type of switch early on. Typically, pitcher's going to go at least 5 innings or so. And so right around like that 5th inning or so, if I'm on the bench, I'm going to start to move around. So I'm probably going to go, like in San Diego, I'd go back into the clubhouse, and I'd go into the batting cage, and I'd start to kind of stretch out. I'd do a little bit of a little jogging, get loose. I'd grab my bat. I would hit off the tee. I'd probably have, so we had a coach that was basically would just throw BP to us, and so I'd have somebody either flip to me or maybe throw me a couple rounds just to get ready. And then once I felt good, I'd come back on the bench and make sure that, I wasn't needed to go in right then. And now at least I feel good to go. I've moved around. I feel like I'm warm and I'm loose and I can go into the game. I would pretty much always do that when I wasn't playing. And every player's a little bit different. So I think as you go into the season, you kind of, roles are kind of set, and you kind of realize and figure out, okay, are you a guy that's going to be you're going to have a lot of pinch hit roles late in the game? Are you going to be a guy that goes in for defensive replacements a lot? And so roles kind of start to be determined, and they can switch throughout the year. But you get an idea, and you kind of can get into a routine and say, okay, this is what I have to do to prep myself to get ready. Now, once you're on the bench, when do you find out if you're going into the game? Well, typically, the bench coach will come up to you and let you know. So he may come up to you and say, hey, listen, if the pitcher gets up here in this next inning, you're going to be the one that pinch hits for him. Okay, cool. And then you get ready, grab your helmet and everything. Or they may come up to you and say, hey, listen, we're probably going to pinch hit for the pitcher here, but you're going to go in and play second base if this happens. All right, cool. And then you get ready. So there's a bunch of different situations, but the bench coach usually will always come up to you a little bit beforehand and let you know. They're typically not going to come up to you and say, hey, go to defense now, and you got to grab your stuff and sprint out there. Or like, hey, you're hitting. Like that's not going to happen. Usually they're going to give you a couple of hitters in advance. Typically before the inning even starts, they're going to come up and just kind of give you the game plan. Hey, this is what we're thinking about right here. Just be ready to hit if this spot comes up. Okay, and you get ready. All right, so that's kind of how it happens. Not to say that you'll always go in. There were plenty of games I played where I didn't go in at all. Just kind of sat there. Nothing came up. I wasn't needed, or somebody else was needed, and then I didn't have to do anything. But there were games where I went and pinch hit. I remember I pinch hit for the pitcher a couple times. I remember I went in and played defense a couple times. So you just got to be ready all the time. And I think, like I said, usually around that 5th inning or so, that's when I kind of flip the switch on and say, okay, I got to assume that I'm going to go in here and play in this game, and I got to get my body and my mind ready to go. And that way, when I'm called upon, it's not a surprise. I don't jump up and freak out. I'm kind of set myself up, and I'm in the mindset that I'm playing today. So that's kind of how it works when you ride the pine. Thank you for the question. Let me know if you guys have any more questions in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. Share the video with all your friends. Give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. Check out our Instagram, Antonelli Baseball, our Twitter feed, MattAntonelli9. We're putting up videos all the time for you guys to help you get better. And that's all I got. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Talk to you later.